Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today is Adrienne Hicks, Director of Art in Motion, a dance that we're going to talk about here today on Trojan Talk. Adrienne, thanks for joining us here today.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
And this dance performance, Art in Motion, throughout the years, it's become a big show where it's have kind of a theme relating to something other than dance. And this time around, you're looking at the movies, right?
We're looking at the movies, yes. We, I think everybody during quarantine turned to some form of movie, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, something to kind of get us through that, especially when we were really in lockdown. So we thought, what better way to kind of celebrate getting back on the stage in front of a public audience, which is so exciting, than kind of collaborating with movies. So
And of course, with this, one of the big elements of this is you're going to have a lot of different movies interpreted in dance form. But a really cool element of this show is the individual dancers are kind of the ones that had the inspiration of what movies you were going to base this off of, right?
So we have 10 choreographers, and they all had to submit proposals, and it's pretty lengthy proposal process. And so they choose their movie, and then they choose what elements of the movie they really want to focus on choreographically. Some of them are looking at plot, and then some of them are looking at very different elements of the movie. And then they presented it to us and, went from there.
You kind of work from there. But of course, and with that, one of the things we'll talk about first off is that this is your first show directing, which is a really big deal for something we'll probably get into in a second. But as director, how do you take and incorporate all these individual ideas and elements together to make it one cohesive show?
So that's been with Art in Motion, because it's individual student choreographer work. Besides the overall theme, this one is movies, obviously, we don't usually tie the pieces in together so much, but we do kind of have to figure out like what piece needs to follow that piece, and how does that work after that or before that, and what needs to open the show, what needs to close the show. So they have chosen such a variety of movie genres. So it's been really interesting to kind of,
to mesh it all together. And I want to revisit the fact that this is your first show directing because it's kind of special for knowing the history of the program here is that you were one of the first ever students to be a part of the dance program here at Troy. And now you are directing students in your first ever show. How does that make you feel about seeing that process go from the start of the program and seeing where it is today, and that you have become a part of that?
Yes. Well, my students always laugh at me because I'm so unbelievably emotional. I cry multiple times a week. But it's just so full circle and so inspirational and moving to me to see students that have no idea how we started, where we started, what we had to fight through to start, here today giving their all to continue to build a program, that started with 6 dancers. So it is so incredibly special to me. Sometimes I just have to, sit back and like look at it for a minute. But yeah, it's really, really wonderful. And for it to still be in the same theater that it was in, when we were here. I mean, we did perform in the Crosby some, but it's just so neat. I love being in the Trojan Center. So the first day we move in during spacing, it's just like that magic kind of.
And I don't want you to get you too emotional here while we're taping. I almost feel like it's about to happen. You're just on the cusp of it. But let's go back and talk about the show, because you talk about a variety of movies. What are some of the things that we're going to see that if somebody comes to visit, the movies we're going to see interpreted on the stage?
Okay, so there are some that I feel like everybody knows and loves. Chronicles of Narnia, Mary Poppins, just some really fun ones. And then there are some that I have never heard of or seen before. There's one called Annihilation that I'd never heard of, never seen before. There are, it's just such a wide variety. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Shutter Island is one that I hadn't seen in forever, so I had to revisit that.
That seems like Annihilation and Shutter Island movies I've seen don't seem to lend that. Mary Poppins would, Narnia probably would because of fantasy, but some of these don't seem like they would lend themselves to the dance treatment.
Right. Well, that's what's really interesting about what these student choreographers have done is that some of them, for example, Mary Poppins is very Mary Poppins and it's perfect. But some of them have really focused on specific elements of the movies and not necessarily the plot. So with like Shutter Island, Taylor Dewberry is the student choreographer for that, and she has really focused on the theme of anxiety and depression and chaos and kind of honed in on that choreographically. So it's really interesting to see what elements of these movies they're choosing to work with.
And of course, as you said, there's 10 different ones, so there's 10 different opportunities to see these interpretations.
Yes.
Now, if anybody does want to see it, we haven't mentioned that yet, location, time, and how can they get tickets? So.
Trojan Center Theater.
Okay.
It is at 7 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evening. Tickets are available at the Trojan Center box office and online. However, as of this morning, there were only 38 tickets left for the whole run.
So if you want to go see it, go check it out. Get those tickets if you want to see the show.
Yes.
And obviously, because it is, you know, in that space and getting to see it live. And I know you're excited to be able to be live on stage again with an audience. And it's got a big, great opportunity there.
Oh gosh, the students are just so excited. It's to have not had that for almost 2 years now takes a little bit of chunk out of your soul, you know, as an artist. So yeah, we're thrilled to be back on the stage.
Well, we're thrilled to have you back on stage and opportunity for folks to see movies interpreted in dance. So thanks for joining us today, Adrienne, and good luck with the performance. So
thanks so much.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.